Ounce equivalents of grains in the CACFP. Greetings from all of us at Evergreen, your CACFP sponsor. I, Erica Aguilar, Program Manager here at Evergreen, will be training you today on ounce equivalents of grains in the CACFP. Please be advised that a copy of this presentation in PDF has been emailed to your personal email along with this video. Let's get started. So effective July 1st, 2022, ounce equivalents will be used as measurements for credible grains, bread alternates in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. You will be required to use ounce equivalents as the method of measuring and portioning items in the grains components in the CACFP. This includes in the infant meal pattern as well. Why are ounce equivalents important? Many of you may be wondering why the change to ounce equivalents. Using ounce equivalents helps streamline the CACFP with other child nutrition programs, such as the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program, that already use ounce equivalents. It is also how grains are referred to in the National Dietary Guidelines for Americans and in consumer messaging, such as My Plate. So we are getting the CACFP up to speed with what is going on in the realm of the nutrition programs. But most importantly, ounce equivalents helps us know we are serving the right portions of grains to meet the nutritional needs of our participants. So, what are ounce equivalents? Ounce equivalents tell you the amount of grains in a portion of food. For example, you see in this graphic a slice of bread. The slice of bread weighs 1 ounce or 28 grams, and of that weight, 16 grams is made up of grains. The remaining 12 grams of weight comes from other ingredients, such as water, yeast, and salt. So, the total weight of the item is 28 grams, but the 16 grams of grains makes it 1 ounce equivalent of grains. We do not expect you to walk around knowing the different gram weights of ingredients in grain items. We will go through tools today that will help you determine how much of different types of grains you will need to serve. However, hopefully this graphic gives you an understanding of where ounce equivalents for grains are coming from. It is important to understand that different grains vary in sizes. For example, 1 slice of bread equals 16 grams of credible grains, 1 waffle equals 16 grams of credible grains, and half a muffin equals 16 grams of credible grains, all equal to 1 ounce equivalent. So please note, the amount of grams in 1 slice of bread or grain item varies depending on the manufacturer. Ensure to look at the nutrition facts label. The current practice of serving grains is being replaced by ounce equivalents. Let's use bread as an example. Previously, the CACFP meal pattern charts only mentioned how much of a slice of bread was needed depending on the child's age. Now that we are moving to ounce equivalences, you will need to refer to the nutrition facts label to check the weight of the slice and make sure it complies with the required portion listed on the grains ounce equivalent chart, which we'll be discussing in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop right now because we need you to access these resources. Right now, we're going to go over each resource. We have a total of 4, and each are 6 pages. So please visit the links. I have emailed you a copy of this presentation, and you will be able to click on the links, okay? And during the monitoring visits, we will ask the method you utilize to determine the amount of grain. So please make sure to print all 4 resources. Once again, they're all 6 pages. Also, the CACFP meal pattern charts were updated. Please make sure to print the new ones and replace them with the ones that you currently have posted in your kitchen. The updated CACFP meal pattern charts now show the serving sizes in ounce equivalents. And during the monitoring visits, ECCI staff will ask to see your updated CACFP meal pattern charts, okay? So please note that for the children that are 1 year and over, it's going to be a total of 5 pages, okay? And for the infant meal pattern chart, it's going to be just 1 page, okay? So once again, it's going to be 5 pages for the updated meal pattern for the children that are 1 and over, and 1 page for the infant meal pattern chart. And I'm gonna go ahead and click next. And on this page, you will see the links to the meal pattern chart. So please make sure to print them and post them in your kitchen, okay? And we also have them available in case you lose a link or you delete the email that we provided you with this material. Please make sure to visit our website. We will have them there under policies and regulations. Once again, our website is evergreencacfp.org. So let's go ahead and get started over the 4 training resources, okay, that we are asking you to print. So let's start with resource number 1, titled Using Ounce Equivalents for Grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Okay, don't forget to print this one. This training material of 6 pages contains 3 charts for common grain foods. The chart indicates how much of a grain item you need to serve to meet the serving size in ounce equivalents. It also shows you how to find out the weight of an item if there is more than an item mentioned in a serving size. And lastly, it reminds you how to use the food buying guide if your food item is not listed in the chart or is smaller or lighter than the size mentioned in the chart, okay? So these 3 charts will be your best friends, okay? On these charts, we have common grains that providers use in daycare settings, such as bagels, animal crackers, saltine crackers, croissants, grits, oatmeal pancakes, pasta, popcorn, rice, and tortillas and waffles, okay? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about these charts. So how do we use these charts, okay? So here are the instructions on how to use them. So first, you're going to find the grain that you want to serve under the grain item and size. And please be advised that they're listed in alphabetical order. Okay, so that's step 1, find the grain. And then step 2, check if the chart lists a size or weight by the name of the grain, okay? And then step 3, you're gonna find the column for the age of your participant and the meal or snack you are serving. This column lists the amount of grains you will need to serve to meet the meal pattern requirement for grains. So let's take a look at this example on the right. Let's do dinner roll for a 6-year-old. So let's go ahead and pretend, that we have our 3 charts, and on the on this page we find the roll. Okay, so we found roll, and it does indicate the weight, okay, that's required for this roll. So it's stating here 28 grams. Okay, so let's look at the nutrition facts label for this roll, and here in the bottom, and we notice here that the serving size mentions that 1 roll weighs 28 grams. Okay, so now let's do step 3, and we could actually use this roll because it does meet the serving size, right? Okay, so now on step 3, we're going to look for, now that we know we could use it, we're going to see how much should we serve. So the first column is for children that are 1 through 5, and the second column is for children that are 6 through 18 years old. So in this example, we're doing a 6-year-old. So a 6-year-old will need to be served 1 roll, 1 bun, okay? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about using this chart, okay? So once you locate your item, like I mentioned previously, please make sure that you see if it lists a size or a weight by the name of the grain, okay? So we have 3 scenarios. We have scenario 1 where it does list the weight, where it does not list the weight or a size, and also what do you need to do if it lists the size, So let's go ahead and do an example for each. So if the weight is provided, if the chart lists a weight for the grain, such as at least 56 grams, then use the nutrition facts label for the item you want to serve to make sure it weighs the same or more than the grain item on the chart. So let's do bagel again. we have here a bagel, and it does list a weight, which is 56 grams. So I put an example here in the bottom, and this bagel weighs 95 grams. Okay, so we could use this item. So let's go ahead and take a look at these columns. So a child that's 1 through 5 years old will need to be served at least 1/4 of a bagel, and a child that's 6 through 18 will need to be served half a bagel. Okay, if the size is provided, okay, if the chart lists a size for the grain such as about 1 1/4 by 1 1/2, then check if the item is in the same size or larger than this amount. If the size is not available on the packaging, you will need to measure it yourself with a ruler, okay? So let's take a look at saltine crackers on the chart. So saltine crackers does list the size. It's mentioning that needs to be about 2 by 2. And I put an example here of a saltine cracker that is 2 by 2. So we could go ahead and use that. And it's telling us here that for a 1 through 5 year old, we need to serve at least 4 crackers, okay, to meet the serving requirement. And then for a child that's 6 through 18, we need to serve at least 8 crackers. Now let's do another example for tortillas, okay? So we have corn tortillas, flour tortillas, and I put an example of a few that are commonly used in daycares. So we have a 6-inch corn tortilla here, a 6-inch flour tortilla, and an 8-inch flour tortilla. Okay, so you will do the same. Now what happens if the weight or size is not provided? If the chart does not list the weight or size for the grain, then you do not need to check the size or weight of the product before using the chart, okay? So let's use popcorn, for example. If you look at popcorn in the chart, it does not list a weight or size. So you just need to visit the corresponding column, and a 1 through 5 year old needs to be offered at least a 1.5 cups, and a 6 through 18 year old 3 cups. And we have rice here as well that does not list any information for a weight or size. So for a 1 through 5 year old, we will need to serve at least 1/4 of a cup of cooked rice, or 14 grams dry. And for a 6 through 18 year old, half a cup of cooked rice, or 28 grams dry. Okay, and this is for all rice types. So what if the nutrition facts label mentions the serving size of more of an item? So in this example on the right, we have a nutrition facts label that mentions the serving size for 3 pancakes, okay? So if that's the case, then you will need to divide, okay? So divide the serving weight by the serving size to find the weight of each item. So let's take a look at the example here on the right next to the arrow. So on the nutrition facts label, the serving weight is 117 grams. So you would divide it by the amount of pancakes, which will equal to 39 grams per pancake. So 117 grams divided by 3 pancakes will give you 39 grams per pancake. Okay, so if we take a look at the chart on the top, it's stating here that the pancake will need to be at least 34 grams. So this pancake in this example is okay because each pancake weighs 39 grams. So you could go ahead and use this pancake, and like we mentioned before, visit the corresponding column, and it will tell you there how much of a pancake you will need to serve. So a child that's 1 through 5, it will be half a pancake, and a child 6 through 18 will be 1 pancake. Okay, now let's talk about measuring cups. Please be advised that there are measuring cups for dry foods and liquids. Technically, liquid and dry measuring cups hold the same volume, but they are specifically designed to measure more accurately of their respective ingredients. We highly recommend using the measuring cups for dry foods to measure your grains for better accuracy. When using the charts in the guides, make sure you pay attention if the serving size is referring to cooked or uncooked. Okay. And here we have some examples of the measuring cups for liquid and dry, and what 1/4 of a cup of uncooked pasta looks like, and what half a cup of cooked pasta looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and show you how to distinguish portion sizes to common household items. So 1 cup will look like a baseball, 3/4 of a cup, like a tennis ball, half a cup, a computer mouse, 1/4 of a cup, like an egg, 3 ounces, a deck of cards, and 2 tablespoons, like a ping pong ball. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and move on to resource number 2. Okay, resource number 2 is titled Calculating Ounce Equivalents of Grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. This training material of 6 pages demonstrates the 3 ways you could determine how much of a grain item you need to serve. It provides 2 charts of common grain items. Okay, so option number 1, simply find your grain component in this chart. So let's do bagel, for example. So in this chart, just locate bagel, and then depending on the child's age, you will need to visit that column. So a child that's 1 through 5 needs half an ounce equivalent. So a child that's 1 through 5 will need 14 grams of bagel, and 6 through 12, 28 grams. So let's do the bagel example in more detail. So the grain to ounce chart states that a 6-year-old needs 28 grams of a bagel. This bagel nutrition facts label states that each bagel is 46 grams. Therefore, you can serve this whole bagel to a 6-year-old, as this bagel exceeds the requirement of 28 grams. Okay. Then we have option number 2, which is calculate, used if the item has multiple pieces like crackers. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It's similar to the example that we did previously with the previous training material, where we found out the weight of each pancake. Okay, so let's go ahead and do an example for cheese crackers. So what happens if the nutrition facts label mentions, like in this example, 16 pieces? Okay, so let's go ahead step by step. So first, we have to determine how much grains the child needs based on their age. So a child will either need half an ounce if they're age 1 through 5 of ounce equivalences. And for children that are 6 to 12, they need 1 ounce equivalents of grains, okay? So let's go ahead and find the food item on the chart, which will be on page 3 or 4. So let's do the example that is on the training material together, okay? Let's find out the serving requirement of crackers for a 4-year-old. So based on the child's age, the child needs half an ounce of grains. If we take a look at the chart and locate crackers, it states that the child will require 11 grams, okay? Which is equivalent to half an ounce. Now let's calculate on the next page. So see the nutrition facts label, okay? Divide the serving size weight, which is 32 grams, by the number of pieces, which is 16 pieces, to find out how much each piece weighs. So 32 divided by 16 will give us 2 grams per cracker, okay? So that's how much each cracker weighs. So remember what the chart asked us to serve for a 4-year-old? The required serving size was 11 grams. Now let's divide the required serving size by the weight of each cracker. So 11 grams divided by 2 grams gives us 5.5. So round up to 6. Okay, so just a quick reminder, when the number ends in 1, 2, 3, or 4, round down. When the number ends in 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, round up. So therefore, a 4-year-old would need 6 crackers to fulfill the serving size listed on the chart. Okay, so don't get scared. It's similar to the pancake example. So we found out how much each cracker weight, and then we use that the previous information on the requirement needed for servings for this child, which was 11 grams. So the required serving size divided by the weight of each cracker, okay? And that gave us 6 crackers. Urgent reminder on rice, uncooked barley, and breakfast cereals. Weights listed with the asterisk symbol, which is the little star, on this chart refer to the dry an uncooked version of the item. For example, 28 grams of uncooked barley, breakfast cereal, rice, etc. equals to 1 ounce equivalents of grains. Okay. And then we have option number 3, which is asking you to use the online food buying guide if your grain or food item is not on the chart. Okay, so for example, couscous is not on the chart, therefore you would need to visit the following website to access the food buying guide. But if this is your case, please contact us and we will assist you with this matter. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to resource number 3. Crediting single serving packages of grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. This training material of 6 pages gives you one chart containing a list of single serving grain packages and the minimum weight required to meet the serving size by age category. It also reminds you to use the food buying guide if your food item is not listed in the chart or is smaller or lighter than the size mentioned in the chart. So let's take a look at the first page. And on the first page, we have an example of these cheesy crackers, some cereals, and a blueberry muffin packet. Although these packages have different weights, all yield to 1 ounce of ounce equivalences of grains, okay? So let's do an example of hard pretzels. We have an example here of brand P hard pretzels. Okay, so we're going to locate pretzels in this chart, and we have located them, and it's requiring the pretzels to weigh at least 22 grams. So let's take a look at the image here of this pretzel bag. Okay, and the weight is listed in the front of the package or in the nutrition facts label, okay, usually. So after reviewing this information, refer to the grains measuring chart for single serving packages, and the chart indicates that children ages 1 through 5 will require half a package, and children ages 6 through 12 will require 1 package, okay? So once again, if your grain is different and it's lighter in weight than the item listed on the grains measuring chart, or does not list the weight of the packet, or it's not listed in the grains measuring chart, make sure to use the food buying guide. But once again, if this is your case, please contact us and we will assist you. Now moving forward with resource number 4. Feeding infants using ounce equivalents for grains in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. This training material of 6 pages contains the grains measuring chart for common infant grain foods. The charts indicate how much of a grain item you need to serve to meet the serving size and ounce equivalents. It shows you how to find out the weight of a food item if there is more of an item mentioned in the serving size. It also reminds you to use the food buying guide if your food item is not listed in the chart or is smaller or lighter than the size mentioned in the chart. So there are 2 methods to measure ounce equivalents. Method 1, grains measuring chart for the Cacfp infant meal pattern, and method number 2 is by using the food buying guide. Please note, iron fortified infant cereal is the only grain that may count towards a reimbursable breakfast, lunch, or dinner in the Cacfp infant meal pattern. All other bread-like items are for snacks only, okay? So please make sure to refer to the last column, and it will remind you there that the food item can be served for which meal. So in this case, mostly all of them are for snacks only, except for the iron fortified infant cereal. So let's go ahead and give you a quick reminder here on that. So for iron fortified infant cereals, half an ounce equivalent is required if the infant is physically ready for solids, and half an ounce equivalent is about 4 tablespoons. So we have 2 charts, and the first chart, which is page 3. Page 3 of this chart is for grain foods that require half an ounce equivalent if the infant is physically ready for solids. So in this chart on page 3, you will see iron fortified infant cereal, bread like items, and tortillas. Okay, so also in this chart, we have bread. So let's go ahead and get started with an example for that. So we are going to go ahead and locate bread on the chart, and the bread weight will need to be at least 28 grams as stated in the chart. So what is the required serving size for an infant? The chart tells us that an infant will be required to be served half a slice of bread or 14 grams to meet the half an ounce requirement, okay? And then on page four of this chart is for grain foods that required 1/4 of an ounce equivalent if the infant is physically ready for solid foods. So in this page four, you will find ready to eat cereals and crackers, and all of them will be 1/4 ounce equivalent foods, okay? So let's do an example for puffed ready to eat cereal. So let's go ahead and locate the grain item first, okay? The cereal weight is not listed. If the weight is not, or size is not listed, then we don't need to look at that. So then we're just gonna go ahead and see what is the required serving size. The chart tells us that for a puff ready to eat cereal, an infant will require 5 tablespoons, which is about 1/3 of a cup or 7 grams to meet the 1/4 ounce equivalent requirement. And once again, if the grain item you want to serve is smaller than the item listed on the grains measuring chart, or lighter in the weights, or not listed in the grains measuring chart, we will need to use the food buying guide. And if this is your case, please make sure to contact us and we will assist you with this. All right, so this concludes the training on ounce equivalents of grains in the CACFP. As mentioned in the beginning, we have emailed you a copy of this presentation to your personal emails. Should you have any further questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to ask. You are very much appreciated, and we hope this presentation was helpful. Thank you for your time.